Would Jesus be a patriot? I don't think, this sounds unpatriotic to say in answer to the question, would Jesus be a patriot? I don't think that question would really even speak to him. I think it would be a boring question to Jesus. I think he'd kind of be like, what does that really mean? Would I be a good citizen? Well, if being a good citizen means that I'm being a good person and being obedient to God and how I serve others, well then yeah, you could call me a good citizen. Does that equate to being patriotic? Well, if I can certainly celebrate the things that are good about the country. I can certainly be frustrated about bad state of affairs, but I think Jesus would be saying, I think the good of our country really isn't the good, and I think the bad of our country really isn't the bad. I don't think it's a policy decision or a policy issue. I think Jesus would say, I think it's a heart issue, and I think it's a spiritual issue, and that's really not an American thing. That's a human thing. That's a cultural thing. It's a men and women, boys and girls thing. And so I just don't think the question of Jesus, are you a patriot or are you patriotic, would have much import for him. I think he would. I think he would elevate a little bit above that, or be operating a little bit below it in terms of how he identifies himself or where his purview is, if that makes sense. And I certainly think he would look like the biblical injunctions of being a sojourner or a stranger in this world, where our true citizenship is in heaven. I mean, he was in a land in Palestine where Jews really didn't have freedom. They were under Roman rule and occupation, a foreign empire. And Jesus is saying, listen, it's not really, can you be sovereign as a Jew or an Israelite, or do you have to submit to the Roman Empire? He's saying that's not even the right question. Your true citizenship is in heaven. Live like that. Let that reflect kind of what drives you and what your goals and kind of vision are for your life. And that's gonna have an if-then. If you're acting like your citizenship is in heaven, then the outcome is you look like you're a stranger on earth, which means you're not really caring about who's in power at that moment, Democrats, Republicans, whatever it might be. You care about injustice, but you don't really care about who the sovereign is, so to speak, because to you, God is sovereign, and that's the ultimate reality. So I think the question, would Jesus be a patriot? I think he would, like Shane Claiborne, kind of the modern day, Christian bohemian type, lovable guy, will get accused of not being patriotic now and then because he's anti-big military or anti-military spending because he thinks that money could be used elsewhere. Whether you agree with him or not, I think the way he gets called unpatriotic might be similarly the way Jesus would be called unpatriotic. And I think Shane would be okay with that because I'm likening him to Jesus right now, so not bad. Way to go, Shane. But I think we can look at him and say there's a little bit of that out of step, simplicity, spiritual, really keying into people, and not being pulled too much by political identification that leads to this almost like, well, you don't care about the country. What kind of person doesn't care about the country? That's unpatriotic. I think that kind of argument would get thrown against Jesus. I actually do.